So today we'll try to see the asset transaction concepts in Hive. What does asset transaction concepts in Hive says is, we'll try to understand that. Okay. So the asset transactions are nothing but the atomicity, consistency, the isolation and the durability which are available in other relational databases. So the same feature was available in Hive from the version 0.13. Okay. So we don't need to worry about all those things. So what we need to remember is, whenever you want to apply some DML operations, okay, like inserts, updates and deletes, okay, we'll not be able to apply on a normal session. Okay, for that we need to set certain properties. Okay, what are those properties? We'll try to see those properties, and how to do that, again we'll try to do that. Okay, so first of all, let's understand these points step by step. Okay, so these are the points to remember. So let me copy this and let me take this as asset tables. Okay, so these are the points which we'll need to remember. So the first point is, only ORC storage format is presently supported. Okay, I don't know whether the newer versions are having different formats supported, but as of now what I know is only ORC storage format is supported in Hive. Okay, so what does ORC means? Object row columnar format. Okay, there are different file formats which we would be seeing ahead: ORC, RC, sequence file, then we have Avro data file, and then we have Parquet file. Okay, so JSON, XML, different file formats are available. So out of that, only ORC file format is supported. The second is, table must have clustered by column, which means that your table should be bucketed. If you want to apply your asset transaction, your table should be bucketed. Okay, so the third thing is, table properties must have transactional equals to true. Okay, remember we try to give that table property skip.header.line equal to 1. So the same way we need to provide this property transactional equals to true whenever you are creating, or whenever you want your tables to be having a DML operations applied. Okay, external tables cannot be transactional. We know now what are managed tables and what are external tables. So external tables cannot be transactional. Okay, so only managed tables can be transactional. Transaction tables cannot be read by non-asset sessions. So what it is meaning is, let's take an example. I'm opening a Hive and I'm setting all the properties of db transactional equals to true, etc, etc. So once I'm firing my queries over here, so select queries over here, and let's say there is one more session. Okay, so let's say there is one more session over here. So the table which is accessible over here or changeable over here will not be changed over here. That is what is the meaning of non-asset session. Okay, I'll try to show you practically. Theoretically, just understand that. So the transaction tables cannot be read by non-asset sessions. Okay, only the session where you have enabled the properties, only that session will be able to perform your asset. Table cannot be loaded using your load command. Remember, there is a load data command, so we cannot use load data command. We'll have to use insert command. Okay, so we'll have to use a rock and roll mechanism. We know that what is a rock and roll mechanism. Load the data into an intermediary table, from that take a data to another table. Okay, once table is created as transactional, it cannot be reversed. Okay, so once your table is transactional, it cannot be reversed. Okay, so these are your properties which we'll have to remember, so when you are trying to create your asset transaction tables. Okay, so let me use this table. Okay, cool. So there are a couple of sessions which are already created by me. Okay, these are the following properties which we need to set. Okay, I'll try to set these properties. Okay, and this is certain settings which needs to be done. I have already done this in settings in my Ubuntu machine, so you don't need to bother about this as of now. Okay, so that is not a thing. Okay, so we'll try to see practically how it works. And there are okay, it from 0.14, as I said, it was 0.13, so the version is 0.14. Okay, so if you see, let me just enhance the size. What I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create a table, okay, with 4 columns, bucketed table, normal things. Okay, no need to give that. So now I'm trying to do insert override table. Okay, so what it is telling is insert override not allowed because the properties I have not set. Okay, so I'll show you that how it can be done. Then view ORC, then we'll try to insert the data. So insert is available, update delete was not available. Okay, cool. Let's see, try to see this concepts. Okay, what I'll try to do is I'll try to create a table. So let me see, we have an employee file. Okay, so there are many emp files, so maybe like what is in this file, let me see that. Okay, so what I'll try to do is I'll try to use this file as, okay, so this is the file I'll be using for this. Okay, so employee asset file. Okay, what it is having, it is having 3 records. Okay, so maybe like I'll try to give, so let me copy this and let me say, so the file name is, okay, employee underscore asset dot txt, and this is the data for this. Okay, so we just started, so we are just trying to see the asset table concepts. Okay, I just explained these few points. People who have joined late can go through the recording for the initial 5-10 minutes. Okay, so what we have done is we have just created a file that is employee asset and it has 3 records. Okay, cool. Now what I'll try to do is I'll try to create a table. Okay, so let me try to create a table. So we cannot create a external table as there is, it is written. Okay, so I'll try to create a managed table. So transactional table, external tables cannot be transaction. Okay, so let me say, so when I'm trying to load the data, should I show you that, or okay, let's try to see that quickly. So create table, sorry, create external table. Okay, and the table name is, let's say, external asset. Okay, so just for testing purpose, and these are my few columns which are nothing but id, name, city, id of integer, name of string, salary of integer, and the city of string. Okay. Then we just need to write a small syntax is nothing but ideally what I'll have to do is first I'll try to create a stage table. Okay, so let's say stage asset table, and the row format delimited, fields terminated by comma. Okay, I have a header so that I need to skip, so that is I just need to write table properties. So I just need to say skip dot header dot line dot count. Okay, so my create table statement is ready. Okay, so let me create this table. Okay, so the table is created. Once the table is created, I need to load the data. Okay, so load data local in path. Okay, so the path is /home save local file system. The file name is employee asset.txt. Okay, into table, and my table name is stage asset. Okay, this is where I'm trying to load the data. So let me load the data. So the data has been loaded. So let me just say select all the records from my asset table. Okay, sorry, staging asset table. Okay, so what I've done, I've just loaded the data intermediate table. Why I've loaded? Because there is a thing once so if you see, table cannot be loaded using your load data command. So for that purpose, what I've done is I've just loaded the data into an intermediary table. Okay, are we good till here? So what I have done, there is one file, I have created a table for it, and I have loaded the data, nothing else. It's a normal thing which we are already doing. Now what I will try to do is I'll try to create a table which where we'll try to see the asset properties. Okay, so the table should not be external. That is what we need to take care. So let me just create. So what I can do is I can quickly copy this create statement. Okay, so create table name. So here, in spite of let's say, I will say employee asset. Okay, so the same 4 columns will be there in this table. Row format delimited fields terminated by. Table properties will not be there because this table does not have the column as a header. Okay, so first row as a header, to be precise. Okay, now certain things what I need to do. So table must be bucketed. Okay, so let me do a bucketed concept. So clustered by, so let me take the first column, clustered by id. Okay, into 4 buckets. So what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to create a bucketed table. That is the first thing. Okay, so let's say row format delimited, and this needs to come down. Okay, so row format delimited fields were terminated by. Then the only ORC storage format is supported. So by default, the table which I am creating in the Hive. Okay, so what is the default file format for that?
Text.
Yeah, beautiful,
Text.
beautiful, text file. So here I will say is stored as ORC. Okay, so here I'll be using the ORC file format. Okay, that is what it is supported. And one more thing what they have said. Okay, so one more thing, this is, so this is the property we need to set. Okay, so what they have told, we need to use a table property. So let me use that table properties. Okay, so this is the table properties. What is the table properties? Transactional equals to true. Okay, so whatever the points which we needed to take care, I have already taken care. So the table should be in the ORC format, it should be clustered, the table properties should be this, it should not be an external table. We'll try to test this. Okay, so I will not be using my load data command, and we'll try to see, means it cannot be reversed back. Okay, so I have made, so I have taken care all the necessary information which was required. Okay, sorry,
Create it as external table.
yeah, I just saw that, thank you. So create table, so let me copy this create table statement, and let me come over here, and let me clear off the screen, and let me hit this. Okay, now can you see, so there is one. Okay, so it is telling that already exists. Okay, no issues. So let me drop the table. Okay, let me create this. Let me copy this, and let me hit this. Okay, now if you see, this table has been created. So if I just say show create table, and my table name is employee asset. Okay, so now if you see the file format, so what is the file format? ORC. Okay, so by default it is text, but now I have used ORC, so that is what it is taken. Okay, so it is clustered by some column, so it is bucketed column. Okay, we know what is the default place where the files are written. Okay, so the manage tables, until unless I use my location explicitly, so I can write it into another format. Okay, so cool, nothing else we need to see in this. Now what I have done is I have created a table with some asset properties. Okay, now if you see, there was certain syntax. Okay, so let me just copy this, and let me paste this. So what it was telling, load data local in path into employee asset. So let me copy this, let me come over here, and let's hit this. Remember, there is one point which is saying that we cannot use. So if you see, there is one sorry, oh, so there is one property which is written, table cannot be loaded using load data command. That is what I'm demonstrating over here. See, if I'm trying to write my load data command into the main acidic table, what error it is telling? It is telling is the file that you are trying to load does not match the file format of the destination table. Okay, as it's a Hive ORC file format table, and it is not supported. So we will not be using we will not be able to use a load data command. Okay, so that is what I wanted to show. Cool. If that I have shown, so how I can load the data? I can load the data using insert commands. If you recall, we have used in the static partition or dynamic partition, most probably 2-3 places we have used insert override command. Okay, so we'll try to use the same command. Okay, so let me just try to use insert override. You can write insert into also. Okay, no issues, means it's your call. Okay, so insert into table. Okay, and what is your table name? My table name is nothing but your employee asset. Okay, from where I'm trying to pick the data? So I'm trying to pick the data from my asset table. Okay, so this is the main table where I'm loading the data, and this is where from I'm picking the data. So insert into table name. Okay, select star from table name. So let me copy this. When I execute this, okay, so it should throw me certain errors. Okay, if you see, this command is not allowed on asset table Hive asset something with a non-asset transaction. Okay, ideally it is telling that we are not able to execute this on asset table. Why? Because we need to set certain properties before executing it. Okay, and what are those properties? So there are certain properties which we need to set. Okay, so there are certain asset properties. So first is nothing but your Hive support. Okay, concurrency, so that needs to be set to true. Okay, so then the other is bucketing. Yeah, so set Hive dot enforce dot bucketing equals to true. Okay, Hive dot enforce dot bucketing, because we have created a cluster table. Okay, then do we need a dynamic partition? I'm not able to recall. Okay, so there is one property, so that is nothing but Hive transaction manager. Okay, so this is one of the property which is explicitly, and here I need to write something org.apache.hadoop.ql. Let me see if I'm able to recall that properly, or else I'll copy that from my PDF. So org.apache.hadoop, then hive.ql I have, then something like called log manager, which I'm able to recall, and let's say db transaction manager. Let me see. I'm not able to recall because these properties are like used a lot time back. Okay, so hive.support.concurrency, I have said that. Okay, then bucketing, yeah, because the table is clustered. Okay, so I have need to set the dynamic partition. Okay, let me copy this three properties from here itself. Okay, so these are the three properties. So it should be non-strict compactor, so make it like default, and let me see this, because this is the important property which is related to asset. Okay, so hive.transaction.manager. Okay, that is fine. So I remember like this, org.apache.hadoop, then I say hiveql log manager, hiveql LOCKMGR. Okay, so DB transaction manager. Okay, looks good. Okay, so these are certain properties which you will need to set if you want to make your table to be a acidic table. Okay, so let me copy these all properties. Let me clear off the screen and let me execute this. Okay, so it is telling that concurrency does not support. Okay, not an issue. So those properties we can just remove it. Okay, but query return non-zero because Hive configuration Hive. So hive.enforce.bucketing, why it is not supporting? Set hive.enforce.bucketing. Okay, so let's try to see if that works, because it should work. If it is not working, then we'll try to see what are the alternatives which we can make out of it. Okay, so now what we have done, we have set certain properties into this table. Okay, so let me just try to load the data now. Okay, so let me just write insert. Okay, I've already written that statement. So let me copy this. Okay, here you will face an error. What is that error? Okay, this is the error you will face. Let me copy this now. Let me clear out the screen and let me hit this. Okay, so I think this needs to be set. So to use DB transaction, you must set this property. So didn't we set this? Set hive.support.concurrency. Set hive.support.concurrency. Okay, there is a typo error. Set hive.enforce.bucketing, bucket. So let me copy this. Okay, and it's already there. So let's hit this. And why the error was coming for bucketing, I'm not sure. Set hive dot. Okay, so now it is working. Cool. So there was a typo error initially, so hence I was getting that exit code error one. I should have looked deeply, but no issues. So we have rectified that. So let me copy this now, and now let me try to insert into an acidic table from an intermediary. Okay, so again it is giving some error. Okay, so what it is telling is insert into table, traceback file user lib command not found. Let me just pause for some minute. I think it is working as of now. Let's see whether the data is. So I guess the property is being deprecated, which is telling, but let's see. The thing is getting executed. We'll try to verify with it. Actually, I had the earlier version of Ubuntu, like Ubuntu 16, in which I had my old watch ecosystem. I deleted that and I created the new VM. So maybe like I'm just testing in the new VM. But it is executing. Let's see the output, and let's see the permutations and combinations of inserts, updates and deletes. As of now it is able to load the data, so let's verify the data. Selects all the records from my asset table. Okay, so as of now there is nothing great which I have done. So what I have done is I have just loaded the data. Okay, so what we have done, this was the file. We took this file, we loaded the data into an intermediary table, okay, which was a non-asset table. Okay, then from this table we are trying to load the data into an asset table. For that we have set certain properties. Okay, so as of now, so I'm just uncommenting it. Okay, I'm just commenting it. The reason being is, so that is not cool. So if that is done, now what we'll try to do is we'll try to perform some asset transactions, which are nothing but like insert is always possible in the normal table also. Okay, but still we'll test that. Okay, so the thing is, if you see, so what it is in insert override. Okay, so this is one of the thing which will not be able to do. Okay, so insert override not allowed on table with the output format that implements asset while transaction supports. Okay, but I think we did, yeah. So if you see, so it was not allowing insert. We cannot go with insert override command. We will just have to go with insert into command only. Okay, so that is one care we need to take. Okay, now let's try to test. First we'll try to insert one data. So normally it will insert, but let's try to test that. Okay, so insert into my employee asset table, and the values are, so let me insert few records. Let's say 104, and the name is, let's say, Tausif, and let's say the city, sorry, so the price is, let's say, 400, and let's say he's from Hyderabad. Okay, and let me insert the record. Okay, so again it will execute the map reduce job, and we should be able to see the data. So we'll try to see once the data is being loaded. Okay, let it get loaded. Till the time, let's see what are the second. So after inserting, we'll try to view the data. Okay, we'll try to view the data after that. So the first thing is now, okay, so it is telling that now you can insert, update, delete on your ORC transaction tables. Okay, so we have done this. First thing is we have done that. Then we'll try to do update. Okay, so we'll try to update, we'll try to do delete. Okay, so whether they are able to achieve this, we are able to achieve this or not, we'll try to see that. Okay, so these are the couple of functionalities. We'll test it on the asset transaction tables. Let me come over here. Okay, so it has completed. Let me write a select statement. Okay, so we got the fourth record, no issues. We used to get that, so that is not a big deal. Now let's try to update a table. Okay, so update employee asset. Okay, let's say set what is the column name. So this is, I think this column name is salary, right? Yeah, so let's try to update the city. So set city equals to, and let's say he's going to Bangalore. Okay, where ID equals to 104. So what I'm trying to do is, now I'm trying to update this record. Okay, as this is a aesthetic table, it should allow us to do. Okay, and perfectly it is working for us. Okay, now if I try to let me copy this statement, and let me come to a non-ascetic table. Okay, if you see this so let me, if you see, this is like a non-ascetic table, a new session where the asset properties are not set. If I try to execute this statement, okay, so it will tell me an error. Attempt to do an update or delete using transaction property does not support these operations. Okay, that's what it said to us. Okay, somewhere at the beginning, what it said. So this is the property. Transactional tables cannot be read by non-asset session. Okay, if you see, my second session is my asset session wherein all the properties are set, but the third session is the non-asset session. So it is telling that you are trying to do update or delete on the transaction element, which is not supporting. Why? Because the properties are not set for this. Table is bucketed and the table is having that transactional db equals to true, but this session is not having certain properties. Okay, so that is what then. So now let me just verify the data. Can we see now my table, sorry, my data has been updated, so I'm able to see the data as Bangalore. Earlier it was Hyderabad, now it is Bangalore. Now let me try to delete the record from this table. Okay, so let me say delete from, and my table name is asset underscore employee where id equals to 104. Okay, delete from table name. Okay, not found Hive acid emp. Okay, sorry, the table name I have just written vice versa, emp underscore asset. Okay, so now what I'm trying to perform a delete statement on my asset table again, so it will execute those things and we should be able to delete the data on my asset transactions table. Okay, so we are able to perform the asset transactions by setting certain properties. Okay, so till the time that MapReduce job is getting executed, let's see what are the things. So these are the few errors which we need to remember. Okay, updating values of bucketing column is not supported. Okay, again this is one of the point which you'll have to remember. Let me take this over here. Okay, so updating values of bucketing column is not supported. What it says is we have created a table. Okay, so this employee asset table, okay, is created with a bucketed table. You cannot update or delete this column value. As I am able to see now, I updated this column value. I can do the updation or deletion of all the remaining columns, but I cannot do updation of this column. If there is a need, then I need to change my bucketed concept on this table. I'll not be able to do that. That what the property says is, what the error says is, okay. So if you see this, since asset table must be bucketed to enable transaction property, you cannot run update command to set the bucketed column, as I was telling, okay. So what is the solution given to us? If you want to really update that ID column, then you need to change the bucket column. You cannot do that with the bucketed concept, okay. That is the first thing. Second thing what we need to remember is updating values of partition columns is not supported, okay. So again there is one restriction. What is that restriction? So the partition column values not supported. Again, if you really want to update your partition columns, change the partition column, okay. So again this is like one of your limitation. I can just say this is like not the property. Let me remove this, okay, and let me come a little down and I can say limitations over here, okay. So this is first limitation, okay. This is my second limitation, okay. So the third thing is insert override is not allowed on the table with output format that is implemented with a transactional manager through, okay. So what it is telling, you cannot execute excuse me, sorry. So what it is telling is we cannot execute insert override command, okay. So let me take this, let me come over here, let me clear off the screen and let me execute this. So what it is telling, this second session is my asset session, okay. So I am not into my third session, otherwise you will tell I'm so I'm executing in my second session, okay. So insert override not allowed in the table. If you see the error message which we are trying to see, so the same thing is getting over here. So we are not able to execute again. So if you want to really remove the data and reload the data, what you can do is you can do first truncate the data and then you will try to load the data, okay. So that is what you'll have to remember, okay. So this is the error which you will be getting, okay. So what it is telling, run truncate and then insert. So that is the play, means that is the what you say, that is the other way of doing your insert override, okay, workaround you can say. The fourth thing is, what it is telling is this command is not allowed in asset table USA press with a non-asset transactions, okay. I don't know what is this. So this command is not allowed on an asset table USA underscore press underscore transaction with a non-asset transaction mirror failed command null, okay. You cannot use asset table to load other tables, okay, cool. So what it is telling is, so remember now what we are trying to do is we are trying to write certain insert into command, okay. So we are trying to pick the data from non-asset table into asset table, okay. So I cannot do vice versa, which means that I cannot load from asset table into a non-asset table. That is what it is telling is, okay. So you cannot use asset table to load other tables, okay. So that is what it is trying to give. So let me copy this again. This is one of the limitation, okay. So these are the four things which we need to remember as a limitation whenever we are trying to do your asset transactions, okay. So we were not able to do, we will not be able to do this, and you will not be able to test all this on your Cloudera VM because that is not supported. Hence, I have opened my Ubuntu machine for today, and I'm trying to show all the things practically. Okay, any questions, anyone?
So it is not supported because of the version difference,
Yes,
or
yes, yes, version difference. And there are certain properties in the Hive site XML. We need to set certain properties. So those properties I have configured into my Ubuntu machine. So because that machine is, this machine is built by me, so I know where are the properties, where are the properties file, where are the config files kept, and what properties I need to change. So I did not went into Cloudera machine and I did not disturb that. So if you get a chance to get an explore, and if you are able to make the changes, you should be able to perform the asset transaction tables. But I just wanted to play at a safer side. That's why I did not touch the Cloudera VM.
okay. And in production, like in real time, these acid things are used heavily,
No, no,
or
no, no, no. We don't use this asset tables in projects. At least I have don't. At least I have not used in my any of my projects.
okay.
Any questions apart from that? Okay. So if no questions, then can we make a move? So there are like small concepts, like these are called variables. Okay, so Hive variables in Hive shell. Okay, so I hope there are no questions.
Yeah, no, safe.
Okay, so if no questions, then let's make a move to this small concepts of variables. Okay, so these variables will come into picture when we are trying to uh, people might be aware of some config files will be there in the projects, okay, where we try to embed all the variables and we try to access the variables from that file. Okay, so this is where the Hive variables come into picture. Okay, what I want you to is, I want you to explore hive -f command, hive -e command. Okay, please explore on this, and by tomorrow or maybe like whenever you get time, just post in the group what these two command means. Okay, so these are the two commands: hive -f, hive -e. So with these two things I can do certain things. Okay, because there is a project which will be coming once we finish the hive session. Okay, so there you will be have to making you there you will have to make use of these commands. So this is for your thing, so do this. Meanwhile, let me move ahead with Hive variables. Okay, so Hive variables, the name itself suggests, so the variables which we are trying to use. Okay, so ideally what we do in projects is we try to create one script, and in that script it's kind of a Unix script. So in the Unix script we try to embed all the variables and try to call all the variables. Okay, but you can, there are certain parameters which there are certain variables which Hive also supports to us, and these are certain things. So let's see how they are. So if you see, now I'm trying to set an ID equals to 102. Okay, and I can use this ID column with the hive conf value. Can you see this? Hive conf colon ID, and I'm able to get that. So this hive conf ID, okay, so from the hive configuration, okay, which is nothing but the ID which we set a value, I'm trying to access the data. Okay, so I'm not passing the hard coded value. Okay, so that is being referenced from the variable which I have set, and this variable either I can set at a session level or I can set at a certain config level file also. Okay, that is what it is saying to us. Okay, so let me just see, and let me just take, okay, so let me take a table, select all the records from employee. Do I have this table? Okay, so this is one of the table. Okay, so which is nothing but external EMP. Okay, so there are 5 records. Okay, and in this 5 records I have certain things. So what I'm trying to do is over here is, let's say I'm just trying to set an ID equals to some value. Okay, so let's say set ID equals to 101. Okay, so when this ID is set, okay, I'll be getting some value. Okay, that is fine. Then I'll try to write a small query. Select star from my table name. My table name is external EMP. Okay, okay, where ID, uh, yeah, that's right, I was writing. So where ID equals to, so we just need to say hiveconf. Okay, hiveconf and the value. Okay, and that is the only thing which we need to see. So let me just copy this, and this you will be able to do. Okay, so this is not related to something. Okay, if you need to check. Okay, so is there any way to show? Okay, yeah. Okay, so I'm just able to see the value, and let me copy this statement and let me hit this. Okay, so now if you see, I have set certain variable to, I have for this variable or this column, this column, I have set certain value. Okay, and I'm calling that value through a variable from a hiveconf. Okay, this is how the variables are referenced. If you want to do if you don't want to write a generic statement. Okay, so if you want to write a dynamic statement, or if you want to reference your hiveconf, ideally, so ideally we do not do this in the projects. We generally use the Unix scripting. Okay, if people are aware of the Unix scripting or not, so I don't know, but we generally try to use Unix script. Okay, where we try to make use of the environment file. Okay, where we set all the properties and then we try to reference that, because I have not used this. Okay, but yes, there are concepts of high variables. That is what I wanted to show, because if you go into projects, mainly you will see 99.99% you will see Unix scripting. Okay, so there will be some environment file. So before executing your job, your environment file will get executed first, so that all the variables or all the parameters which are available in that environment file will be set, and then whatever the jobs which are executing after that, if they are referencing to those variables, they will get their respective values. This is what is happening in my project. Okay, and mostly this will be followed in every projects. Okay, but still we have these concepts, so hence I'm trying to show. Okay, you can go for multiple, so if you see, setting high variable for table and ID and using both city and table, etc, etc. So if you see, select star from table where city equals to, so I have set one more variable for city. Okay, and one more variable for ID. So in spite of one variable, I have set two variable, so I just need to place a or clause. So whenever the city is Mumbai, can you see the city is Mumbai, I'm able to fetch the data. And whenever the ID is, I think the earlier ID was 102, so we were able to set that. So the same thing. Okay, now if you see in the, let's see this. Okay, so we have already said this. Let me go to this thing and let me see the data. Okay, so we'll try to take this in JVD. Okay, the value is set, so I'm just copying this and I'm pasting this. Okay, so here you just need to write a or clause, and you just need to copy this and just replace appropriately city and city. Okay, so wherever the your high variables are set, okay, so wherever the values are matching, we are fetching the results. Okay, so if you see in this SQL statements, nothing is hard coded. Okay, so all the parameters are being referenced through high variables. Okay, so you can do that also. you can reference your table also. Okay, so if you see, let me just set Hive reference single column. Okay, here let's say multiple columns. Okay, and here just set table. So we can reference the table, oh sorry, we can reference the table through Hive variables also. Okay, so if you see set table, okay, and whatever the table name is, so we are just writing the same syntax over here, but only here Hive conf. Okay, so we are just referencing that table syntax over here. Okay, so let's try to see. So let's say my table name is external underscore emp. Okay, so that's the only thing we need to say. That's it. Let me copy this. Okay, and then what we'll try to do is we'll try to copy the same statement, and we'll try to use select star from Hive conf and the table. Okay, let me copy this. Okay, so now what we have done, so we are using this references of my columns through a variables pattern, and I'm trying to use my reference of my table also. Okay, so ideally, like majorly you'll be using your Unix. I am reiterating again and again. Okay, I will never use this, but there is a concept which I need to show, hence I am able to showing this. Okay, see, I was talking about this Hive conf e. Okay, I want you to explore this and come up with the explanation, because this is very important. What is hyphen e option? Okay, so as it is telling you what it is there, so just explore this. I want, and again I have just see hyphen executing statements from a .hql file. Okay, so Hive hyphen f. Okay, so I have already shown this, so let me just write here, no need to explore. Okay, so important, because we generally do this a lot of time. Okay, whenever, okay, so whenever we want some .hql files to be executed, we use above command. Okay, so what happens in the project is, if you see now, all the DDLs I'm creating, and then I'm trying to do the data, etc, etc. But in projects, what will happen is, before the jobs get executed, there is one job, okay, so which creates the table for us. Okay, and that table is kept in a file, and that is with an extension .hql, like how we kept .txt, so the same way .hql. So if we want to execute this .hql text file, okay, so we use hyphen f option. Got it? The second option is hive hyphen e. Okay, so whenever we want to execute Hive queries, okay, in your shell, we use Hive, we use above command. Okay, always remember this. So whenever you want to ensure file to be executed in your shell, so these are the things which you'll have to remember. Okay, because we always do this in our project. Okay, because when we are writing the Unix scripts, tomorrow I'll try to show one script which I have written in Cloudera VM. Okay, just remind me, or maybe like if I close this session, maybe, or let me just stop this. So with hyphen f and hyphen e, okay, you can execute your, with hyphen f, as the name suggests, file, and hyphen e for queries. Okay, So in your shells, if you want to execute in your Unix shells, if you want to execute your Hive queries or the Hive files .hql files, you can make use of this argument -f and -e. So that is what it is there. Okay, so I've shown this over here, but that is what you will have to do in your project. Are we able to understand that? Any questions? Yes, no?
No, sir.
Okay, so there are, we see these as magic commands. Okay, so if you see how to run Unix and Hadoop commands in Hive. Okay, so if you see, I'm in my Hive terminal. Okay, if I just say present, sorry. So if you want to execute your magic commands in Hive. Okay, so the first one is your execute edge node command. Okay, so if you want to execute your edge node commands, you need to just prefix with exclamation. Can you see this exclamation symbol? Let me come over here. So I was just showing that. Okay, let's say present working directory is it. So let's say ls-ltr. Okay, we all do these things, correct? Like how we do in my normal. So if I'm just trying to do ls-ltr, so I'm trying to get the same thing. Okay, so I'll try to get the same thing. The reason being is the output is different because home, okay, Saif, then I have local file system. So now my output is same of this path and this path. Okay, can you see the bottom 3-4 files or files? It should be the same. Okay, so if you want to execute your edge node commands in your Hive terminal, you just need to prefix your exclamation symbol. Okay, so I'm just writing couple of commands. Later on you can explore. Second thing is execute Hadoop commands. We just need to prefix DFS, nothing else. Can you see this DFS? Nothing else. Okay, let's see that. DFS-ls. So we have a path called what is that path? User Saif input. No, for me it is a different. For me it is Hadoop file system. There is a input. Okay, this should give me the result. Let's go over to the Hive terminal. Okay, and let's hit enter. Okay, can you see? If I just execute the same command with, let me go to my edge node, hdfs dfs-ls, and execute this. Can we see the same set of results in my edge node and in my Hive terminal? Okay, so if you want to execute your edge node commands, you just need to prefix exclamation. If you want to execute your Hadoop commands, you just need to prefix DFS. Okay, so these are nothing but your, we say this as magic commands. Okay, so that's how it is termed as. Okay, any questions? It's like simple stuff, nothing else. Okay, so the file compressions. Okay, so there is a concept called file compressions. We'll try to stop here. Maybe like we'll try to see tomorrow. So it's already like 8 o'clock, and this concept will consume some time, and we can see this tomorrow. Any questions so far what we have done?
So one question, that
Yes,
Hive variable we don't use much, you told.
right.
So normally we use that Hive -e and then create dynamic statement there.
Yeah.
So do we use Hive -e that way to create dynamic SQLs, or is there any other way?
uh, Dynamic SQL means by referencing some variables, you are saying?
Yes.
Because see,
Yes.
static SQL and dynamic SQL, again there are two different concepts.
Okay. I mean to say, yeah, referencing different
Yes,
variables.
we use the same way what we have seen. So what we do is, if you don't want to do a hard coding method, okay, can I stop the session because it's